Second Cup, brought to you by the Nickel Plate. Sit, sip, savor, and shop.
Hi, everyone. Good morning to you. It's 8 o'clock on the start of your Monday morning. Glad you're with us for Second Cup. Brought in our friend of the show, Councilmember Mitch Nowakowski from the Fillmore District in Buffalo. Glad you're with us. And
we're actually going to grill him about the Bills' loss last night.
And you watched the game.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. He's actually here to talk to us about things happening in the city of Buffalo. But...
Okay, so just so that we can clear the air once again, and just so that we're all transparent and not trying to pull the wool over your eyes, Mitch is one of my very good friends. And of course, I'm still going to ask him the tough questions because that's what we do. And so that's not going to get in the way of anything.
You are annoying to your friends. I can guarantee that. I can promise that. We're also going to talk about the Bills. What did you guys think? We'd love to hear your comments. Did you stay up and watch the whole game? Did you end up turning it off? What do you think of the record so far? Now we're looking ahead to Sunday and the Texans. Big game.
All right. So, Mitchell, first, and for all of you, if you haven't been following this news, you've probably been living under a rock, it feels like at this point. But as early as today, Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown could give us some insight to his future. And he has not officially accepted this job at the Western Region OTB, yet it is likely he will. What's your initial reaction to this?
Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up. So it's imminent. So we know that he's going to accept the position, and he will be demonstrating to the public of when he'll be leaving office. I'm assuming this week we'll know when that official date is. And when that happens, the Common Council President, Chris Scanlon, will be the acting mayor, which he will be discharging those duties as acting mayor and South District Council member at the same time per our charter. And so it'll leave the body with 8 members. And I know that that's causing kind of a funk, but I want people to know is the reason why that's 8 members is because of when the mayor is leaving. So if he's technically leaving in a week, it's after August 5th, which was the deadline where the city can't hold a special election to commence for the remainder of the term. So that's when we'll have an acting mayor.
Mitch, according to all of the analysis that you've been done too, should all this move forward, and we're assuming that it would, Chris Scanlon would be coming into a really interesting budget situation.
Is your mic on, Mitchell? Let me undress you for a second. Here, come here. Oh, it is on. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking loud enough?
Speak up, Mitchell.
Okay, I am so sorry. I'm not usually this timid.
Let's go.
All right, so let's talk about the budget situation that Chris Scanlon would be coming into, and what your thoughts are on that compared to what we're hearing from the mayor's office right now.
Yeah, so my mom called me early in the morning and said, look, have you seen the Buffalo News? The mayor says that the fiscal crisis is because of the Common Council. I said, well, I have a few opinions on that. The fact of the matter is that we are going to be in turbulent times because of the financials that we're in. So the mayor and some people are saying that the deficit is 25 million, but I want to demonstrate of why I'm saying it's 40 million. So if you go to our handy dandy budget book, there's $14.9 million that we use in fund balance. It was a local law that I sponsored in 2020 that restrained the mayor and the administration to put surplus funds back into basically a depleted savings account. So we're using $14.9 million in our savings account. And then if you go to the other section and you go to page, well, I have a handy notes, you go to 23 of our budget book, we have federal resource stimulus, which is ARP funds. We use $25 million in one-shot revenue of ARP funds that won't be there anymore.
This is money that doesn't come back year after year.
Doesn't come back at year after year. So 25 plus 14, okay, we're at roughly, 39 million. So then we see that through the cannabis, that we budgeted $1.2 million, but the previous year we only collected $62,000. The rollout of cannabis, whether we like it or not, has been kind of a debacle. So we've opened up these cannabis shops, and they are taxed. And I also, for viewers out there, please, if you're going to purchase it from a regulated state because you know what you're putting in your body and what you're consuming. But when you purchase that, the city of Buffalo should be making money.
But so, Mitch, I mean, what the mayor says in the Buffalo News over the weekend is that council has created this problem, you as council, as a whole body, but that it is council that is blocking proposals for revenue growth. How do you respond to that?
Well, so the fact of the matter is the proposals. One was the cameras, the school zone cameras.
The red light cameras, yeah.
Remember that was a huge debacle. And
Or the speed cameras.
Speed zone, yeah, ones.
And like, so that was a big revenue generator. But the fact of the matter is Buffalonians pushed back. We listened to our constituents and we voted down the measure. And then other proposals that we've seen were extremely high taxes that the council had to whittle down. And then other sources are kind of punitive in nature. And so when you do these measures and you submit it to the council, I have to defend this in Wegmans. Like I don't go to Washington and like don't see my constituents. Like when they're upset, they will come to my office and we have to work those through. So those things may look good on paper when you're submitting to the common council, say, great, raise this revenue, but we actually have to put it and enact it. And then we have to adhere to our residents who it may be punitive. It might hurt businesses. We have to deal with the day-to-day issues. So it might look good on paper on how to raise money, but not in practicality, not really.
So, I mean, so if you could respond directly to him, to those comments, that it is the city council that is, in fact, creating this crisis, and then that you, as the council, are crying poverty, it seems like, I mean, for what it's worth, he's got a point, because the council has realistically rubber stamped the budget for years until kind of all of this came to fruition. But now it's kind of been thrust into the spotlight because we're missing revenue. We are not collecting fees that we should be in the city of Buffalo. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, he's in charge of the budget, right? Like he proposes the budget.
Yeah, so the mayor proposes and the common council disposes of
Right.
the budget. So our power in the council is to amend. So if we voted for the budget or we voted down the budget, that means his budget stands as is. So the council can only amend and submit amendments. But the fact of the matter is we were here in 2020. My first year on the common council, we had a budget deficit and we used revenue anticipation notes. We basically borrowed our way out of this hole. And so we were here 4 years ago, but we basically used ARP dollars to basically kick the can 4 years down the road. So systemically, throughout the 16 years, revenue did not increase. So revenue stayed the same. Our expenses went up, and then the common council and the administration used our fund balance, used our savings account to match those holes. And it's because politicians like to go behind a podium and say, I'm holding the line on taxes, but your response should be at the expense of whom and what? Our infrastructure, our lighting, our emergency services, equipment, our growth as a city. So there's always a catch when someone says, I'm holding taxes and I'm keeping it in your pocket. And now we're here.
So one thing I do want to ask you about too, because I know we've got a bunch of people who live in the city of Buffalo with us, and the reassessments all just came out for everybody's homes. I want to get your thoughts on that. And we were talking about this a little bit ahead of the show, and we were kind of talking about how things are getting spread out now. So explain to people, maybe my taxes went up, maybe they went down. What's happening here? And what do I need to know as a homeowner moving forward? Should taxes go up?
Good question. So think of taxes, basically the collection of taxes, as a pie. So when the city reassesses, we still collect the same amount of pie. It's just redistributed. So my taxes went down, some went up. And so what I've been really wanted to tell people is if your taxes went down, that means someone else has to make it up in another neighborhood. And they're usually based on comparables. But for 20 years, the city of Buffalo did not reassess. So when I purchased my home for roughly $200,000, I paid $800 in taxes because I was only assessed at $30,000.
Wow.
Because the city didn't reassess. So we got it together. We're starting to reassess. We pay a contractor to do that. And so downtown, the Central Business District's portfolio has gone down 14%. So if the Liberty Building and those big structures that pay taxes go down, then neighborhoods have to make up those resources, have to make up that funding. So that's why I really fight when people say downtown, it's only meant for wealthy people and condos and office workers. No, we need a successful economy. We need a successful downtown because that oftentimes shoulders the financial burden other than residents.
Are there particular neighborhoods that are getting hit harder than others here, or that where we're seeing the assessments change a lot more than others?
Yeah, you saw Elmwood Village, Lower West Side, Allentown. You saw them increase in quadruple in price. Larkinville's getting hit. I also, in sections in my district, like the Old First Ward, South Park area, that area that's seeing redevelopment, the Perrys are getting redone. I have a constituent whose assessment, I think, quadrupled. And
wow.
So there's just... It's a reevaluation, and I ask call your council members so that we can work through that and work through assessments and challenges and all those questions. And just because taxes, so if your assessment goes up, doesn't mean that your taxes go up necessarily, because the common council and the mayor set that rate in which you're charged.
Shonda says just pricing people out of their homes. Is that true?
So in some areas where areas like in my neighborhood where folks had purchased their home for $50,000 and are seeing record growth, At times it is if you're on a senior, but if you're a senior or you qualify for an exemption, please call City Hall, call your council member so you can get that. But for for a while, our tax rate has been very low and our values in Buffalo have been really low. If you talk to friends around the state, they're like, wait a minute, you're now finally starting to see houses go for $200,000. Like that's been a norm throughout the state. I think as Buffalonians, we're kind of used to this way where I paid $558 for my first apartment. Those days are gone. That those days are gone. Our market is hot. People are moving into the city. Things are happening.
So I just want to be clear. So I just want to make sure that we're answering Shonda's question. Just because our assessments are going up doesn't mean our taxes are going up. But do you feel as if the assessments are going up that people are not going to be able to afford the value of their home or afford what the future mortgage payment could feasibly be?
For mostly, no. Just because your assessment goes up doesn't mean your taxes go up. It just means that your value in your home did. And ultimately, that means that you can go to the market and sell your home for that amount of money, which is equity in your pocket.
Mitch, I just want to go back to the comments that the mayor made because, he kind of says on one hand that there is no financial crisis in the city of Buffalo, but you say differently.
Yeah, and he kind of contradicted himself in the article. He said that there's no crisis, but we're $25 million in a deficit. So that doesn't make sense. So the fact is we could point to the budget book of one stimulus, in cannabis revenue and using our savings as patching our way through this budget. But the fact is next year, these revenues are going to dry up and we have to come up with something.
Okay, so is this why you didn't want to be mayor or don't? Right now, realistically, you're like the only common council person who has said that you have not thrown your hat in the ring unless things have changed. Are you interested in running for mayor?
I am not. I would like being the council member and being the finance chair and speaking truth to power and breaking this down for people and what this means, because I think we walk around sometimes and we don't know what municipal finances are, and you can kind of read the front page of the Buffalo News and say there's not a problem. I'm here to say that there is.
So we are hearing from you. Yes, there is a problem. I think the biggest question that people are going to want to know is how does it get solved? Because what does it mean for me, the taxpayer, the person living in the city?
Yes. So municipal financing is basically, so what we collect in taxes, we collect about $177 million in taxes. We take that city taxes, we split it, we give half to the Buffalo Public Schools, because if you're in a suburb, you're probably saying, wait, I pay school, village, and my town tax. So the city doesn't do that. So then $77 million out of a $500 million budget is just city income that we bring in. It's a pie. We bring in state aid, we bring in county aid, we bring in federal aid, we bring in sales tax revenue, fines, we bring revenue in. So there's a multitude of sources that we bring revenue in, and I don't see anyone saving us. I don't see that the state of New York, because Rochester is going to have a tough time, Syracuse is going to have a tough time. Everyone's having tough times with their budgets post-pandemic.
So does that mean it's going to fall on the taxpayers?
It shouldn't, and it won't. But you will probably have to see whatever the mayor, or now soon to be acting mayor, Common Council President Chris Scanlon, what he proposes to the Common Council.
Right.
So it's his job to propose to the council, and then we amend and we work through it as the council.
So Elizabeth says Brown is just trying to pass the buck and blame everyone but himself for some of these situations that he didn't handle for years. Do you agree with that?
So I would say that the previous common councils also share the blame, because they should have gotten these revenue. They should have gotten the budget book and said, wait a minute, why are we using our savings to do this? But it's not popular for a council member to say, I think we should raise taxes 0.5%. But here's the thing, modesty is the best way in life and in finances. If you raise taxes 0.5%, 1%, that money accumulates, it compounds, and then you don't face such a steep cliff.
So our reporter Kristen Miranda is here with us this morning, and we're glad that she is. She's asking specifically, how do we think budget season will go if Scanlon becomes acting mayor? He knows what's going on with the budget. Do you think this will help with the deficit?
So that's a good question, because the Common Council president has been here and voted on these previous budgets for 12 years. So he understands what it is. When I've spoken to him, he says that he has a plan, that we're going to make tough decisions and be creative. He hasn't said that in detail, but I think that as a former council member that has to deliberate on these budgets, I'm so assuming he knows what's going on.
I got to tell you, though, when I spoke to him the last time and I asked him what his plan was, he refused to tell me because he didn't want to step on the mayor's toes.
Step on him. We have to address these issues that's happening. The mayor respectfully is coming to a close to a long career. I respect his service. It's time to move forward. The city has to move forward, and we have to start being bold.
Shonda says, I don't know about everyone else, but my salary isn't going up to offset all the increases.
I think there are a lot of people who are probably in Shonda's shoes.
Hi, Jake. Good morning to you. Modest is hottest, he says. Sherry says property value went up significantly, but easier to maintain curbs. But
Curbs are from the late 1800s.
yeah, I guess so. Oh, okay. Sarah had a question for you, Mitch. She's really concerned about accessibility. I attended this Explore and More downtown historical tours on Saturday, and it was wonderful. But pushing a stroller, I realized how inaccessible the city is. Difficult to get up on sidewalks, tons of barriers, would be awful for people in wheelchairs. She said she took pictures. That's your district.
Yeah. And I've been really I've really taken the disability community and ran with it. Not only do we have an ADA advocate now, I've really highlighted accessibility issues in the workplace and in infrastructure. And if you have anything specifically, please send it to me. But it is true. We need to have resources to make our city more accessible. But that comes down to revenue. I get about $3 million a year in my district where I can address a lot of these issues. But that's peanuts in what we really could do. So if we could get another Buffalo billion, I wouldn't want to soak it into a building. I want to soak it into the actual infrastructure in the city of Buffalo.
Something else coming in from Paula, who I think you might have addressed this, but she was wondering when was the last reassessment in the city, because she feels like we've been reassessed in the last few years.
We have. So the previous reassessment was in 2019, but before that was 2000. So, and the market has dramatically changed since 2019. It's craziness. The market's hot. People are purchasing cash. And I think I say that almost proudly in the sense of, because I grew up in a time where everyone's like, oh, you're going to live in the city, you live in Buffalo. We are talking proud. People do want to come to the city of Buffalo. People do want to make this their home. We do have equity in our home. They're not just worth $30,000. People are taking pride in putting resources into their homes, and that makes a healthier city.
Scanlon told me the last time I talked to him that you basically can't raise taxes unless your house is in order. And people are concerned taxes are going to go up, especially Shirley, who, for instance, says people on fixed incomes won't be able to handle the extra taxes, et cetera. What is the likelihood that taxes go up, and can we assure people that we are at some point going to say this cannot fall on the taxpayers?
Good question. So I would say that I can never see for the next couple of years that they don't go up 1%. I just don't see that. But we cannot raise taxes out of this problem. No, number one, can we not do that? Number two, it's not feasible. Number three, there's no political will to do that. And the fourth reason is it's just not right. So we have to come up with other ways on how to get revenue to meet our expenses.
What kind of other ways? What are you thinking?
Well, urban economics are complex. And so we rely heavily, that's why I'm very focused on downtown, because urban areas and cities, they make up their revenue through events, through sales tax, through activity. And if you have a vital city, that's where the city usually garners revenue. Think about if you go to Florida, if you go to California, you go to Miami, well, how much of their municipal budget is tourism? So we have to come up with ways on how to be a vital city. We do need more aid. Our state aid has remained flat for 10 years. We can't, the purchasing power of what it was 10 years, we need an increase.
So what do you tell Kathy Hochul? What do you tell the governor?
Governor, this is our city. We have to provide services. I want you to look back, when you look at our state aim, because we do need an increase. And ultimately she's going to say, well, Mitch, what about Rochester and Syracuse? But we have to look at our cities in the state of New York, because they need to be healthy and sustainable too. I think that ultimately, when Council President Chris Scanlon said we have to make sure our house is in order, we have to start trimming. We have to really look and say, where is the excess, where's the fat? What can we hold and show restraint? So if you could show restraint, then you're going to trust me more with your dollars. If I'm saying I'm willing to make the hard decisions. And I am now, as a second-term council member, I have no feelings left to hurt. I know I am. If you call me and scream at me, I'm gonna listen to your concern, but I have to do what is right. I can't be bamboozled to placate people.
So do you think in saying what he said, is the mayor taking a pot shot at you?
I felt it, but I was like, ooh, okay, here's my ice for my job, but let me explain what's the real deal here. But I have that back and forth relationship with him, and I don't take it personal. And I know that if I say something quippy today, he won't either. Because the fact of the matter is I am the council member that will literally pull out a book and can we talk about this?
Right.
It's not pontificating it from the podium.
And it's, you know what I mean? When you can't look at these things in a personal matter. You have to look at this as a business, and in some regard, right? It's a government, not a business. But
I was just reading Jason's comment. Without a successful downtown, there would not be a successful neighborhood. And so, it seems like so much of the focus is on Canal side, but then you're thinking like, okay, well, how do we get people downtown? Build it, they will come.
Well, here's a question that Sherry has then. Were you depending on the Bills Stadium being in Buffalo? Was there any concept of that?
I wasn't, because the initial proposals were in my district.
Right.
And it was going to desecrate some of the neighborhoods around it. I know that, urban theory. I mean, I went to school for urban studies. So of course I would want a stadium and the sales tax revenue and all that there, but it was really never, it was kind of a farce. They really never planned to come to the city of Buffalo. It was just people saying it should go there.
Paula says trim and restraint, exactly what anyone would do to manage finances in their own families. And that's probably the period at the end of the sentence here.
True.
Mitchell Nowakowski.
Practical Patty.
Love that for you. And Elizabeth, to your credit, Mitch is my council member. And when I had a problem, he responded quickly and was helpful. He's the real deal. So Sarah, you got a problem. You want to show those pictures to Mitch. Maybe he can get it fixed for you.
Yeah, Mitch, what's the best way to contact you?
Is 851-4138, but I'm on my email every day.
What's your email?
Is mnowakowski@buffalony.gov.
There you go.
Nowakowski. It's a very difficult last name to spell.
It's not that difficult if you're Polish. I had that one right here. Yeah.
Okay, Mitchell, thank you so much for coming in. You're welcome anytime. And Sarah says this was a really great edition of Second Cup. We appreciate you, and she thanks you very much. And I do too.
I was scared
Thanks,
there was going to be
Mitch.
boring. I texted you. I said, they're too boring for the cuppies.
Look, I think
The copies?
in all practicality, we have questions. And I think
True.
it's important to get them answered.
And so do the copies.
Right.
And you know what? On top of questions, people have concerns about finances.
Mhm.
Every family these days is like, how am I going to afford this? My pay hasn't gone up to match X, Y, and Z. Like the expenses are killing me. So I think that it's good to talk through all of these different issues.
Before we let you go, one of the topics we wanted to talk about this morning briefly was getting ready for winter. We have seen what happened in the past here in the city of Buffalo, places on the east side especially unprepared. What is your suggestion for those people this morning and for folks who are now thinking, okay, winter is coming, how do I prepare?
Well, so what I would say is that we actually have purchased equipment with the issues that we've had post-blizzard. We've tackled, even though I feel like sometimes I have whiplash from it and fighting with people to make sure that we, restructure. We have warming centers. We have the equipment to address. We have the personnel. So I would say that we are prepared to go into winter. Yes, it's inclement, but have a plan. Make sure that all the numbers are up to date on your fridge. Call your council member for, we oftentimes link with community centers that have resources too.
I was going to say, how would if people need actual physical resources in their home, in their car? How can they connect with what they need?
Yeah, call your council member. I have my own packs that I link with community centers that we can link you with emergency equipment and blankets and kind of some safety stuff.
Mitch Nowakowski, appreciate you.
Very good.
Thanks
Thank you,
for coming
Mitch.
in.
Thanks.
Glad
We'll
to
see you
have
next
you.
time.
Yeah.
Open invitation whenever you want.
Thank
Shonda says, at this point, good luck keeping the heat on. Barbara says, thank you. As a resident of Niagara County, the city of Buffalo impacts the entire region. It does. And that's why I think it is so important for everyone to understand what happens in this city with leadership, with finances. It is in a regional impact.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, even just like someone gave the example of the Bills. We just have to make sure Mitch doesn't walk out with his microphone.
Oh, John will probably come and get him.
Okay, John, make sure you grab Mitch so he doesn't walk out with his microphone. Yes, and we were talking about the Bills. Like that's a perfect example. You know what I mean? Okay, the Bills are in Orchard Park. Do they impact the city of Buffalo? Of course they do. It's
Right.
kind of like this, relationship, symbiotic relationship.
Let's talk about these toys.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, so Ed and I love to buy toys because we have nieces and nephews. Actually, you have
Yes.
4
Mhm.
nieces and nephews. I have 4 just nephews on the Geek and Gak side,
Wow.
only boys. And whenever we see the new toys get advertised for Christmas, we're like writing them down and paying attention to what we think
Yeah,
is
you
cool.
got to get a jump start on it. Okay, so some of the hot toys this year. Peanut, which is this monkey with a ton of interactivity.
It's cute. You like tickled its belly and
Yeah.
it like did cute things. Kind of reminds me of a Furby, but like the next level.
Okay, but listen to this. It can walk by itself. It can fall over and pick itself up. It can interact with the kid and become a true friend, is what the experts are saying.
It was cute. It was cute. I like the video of it. I was also into, they were called Booksy Monster Tales.
Right.
So they're teeny little books. They're like this big. They're these little monsters, and they come in like a little monster's mouth. Like the toy's like this big. It's a monster, and its mouth is a little tiny book. And then they had this little bookshelf that's also kind of a monster, and you would put all the little tiny books on there. I'm like, that's cute because it gets kids reading, but God help the parents' eyes. I also think,
Oh,
because like the
seriously.
books were like this big, but they were cute.
Connie, exactly. Thank you very much. I was cracking up when she said that too. The last
Oh,
one.
you people are just too much for me.
A Hatchimal. So this
Oh,
is
those have been popular for a while.
yeah,
Didn't
but
you buy one?
I
last
think
year?
I did.
You did?
But like I don't know why this one is different, but apparently it is.
God, those kids love these
I
squishmallows.
know.
They just do. They love them.
Darth Vader bot for Star Wars fans is going to be a big deal. I don't know. So I tried. Oh, and then there's this like puzzle thing called Canoodle. It's an electronic version of a puzzle game made popular on TikTok.
You know why I like to
Ooh,
look at this?
Spidergraph.
Oh, I love that.
Me
You know
too.
why I like to look at this stuff now? Because if you can spread out the cost, here we are in almost October tomorrow, okay? If I can spread out the cost of a couple of toys now and get them and have them for Christmas, like I just think that's so helpful than just like getting hit at the end of the year.
And that's basically what Anita is saying. She started her Christmas shopping already. I mean, I have too. I've started my Lisa's Hatch a Who. I know. I started Hanukkah shopping. I've already got my parents' stuff. I got my sister's dog some stuff.
Sorry, Dana, not for you. For
right.
Piper.
I know it's true.
Yeah.
Jeanette says anything that has items to collect are dangerous for parents. Love seeing the new toys.
Oh my God, right? Like, remember when the kids got into the minis? Like, have you like the
Yes.
mini McDonald's, mini whatever, mini cookies, whatever the stuff was? I don't even know.
Elizabeth says she's already started shopping as well. It's so expensive. Look, we got to get the show on the road. Hope that we could answer your questions. I think having somebody like Mitch in who can just break it all down for us will help all of us in the long run. But we'll see what happens.
Have a great Monday, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.